This stranger broke into our home and is trying to ruin my daughter's precious engagement party. Arrest her immediately! She's a thief! An awful thief!
This stranger broke into our home and is trying to ruin my daughter's precious engagement party. Arrest her immediately. Right in front of me, clinging to the police officer while pretending to cry, was my stepmother, Marilyn. Beside her, acting as though she were trembling in fear, was my stepsister, Brielle. I felt the officer's stern gaze on me. Yet I remained strangely calm. Unbelievable. Do you have any idea how much effort I put into preparing for today? He's a thief. An awful thief. Marilyn's dramatic performance continued. And the thief she pointed at was unmistakably me. The luxury house they had decorated as if it belonged to them was without question the house I inherited after my mother passed away. The very home she herself had inherited from my grandparents. As I watched the officer reach for his handcuffs, I let out a slow, deep breath. The cool wind from the lake brushed across my cheek. How had things come to this? Why was I about to be arrested as an intruder in my own home? Everything began with an unexpected phone call 3 weeks ago. I was in my Brookhaven design studio struggling over the plans for my next project when my phone lit up with the name Edwin. It had been more than 6 months since I last heard from my father, Edwin. "Hello, Leora. How have you been?" His voice coming through the receiver carried the same overly ingratiating tone it always had. "I'm good. And you?" "Oh, I'm doing well. Everyone's doing well. Actually, I have a favor to ask." I heard someone whispering behind him. It was without a doubt Marilyn. And I could practically picture her pulling his strings like a puppet. Unable to hide my suspicion, I asked, "What kind of favor?" He then brightened his voice and said, "It's about Brielle. She's finally gotten engaged to a young man named Callan. He's a really good guy. We're planning to throw a celebration party next month." "I see. Congratulations." My tone was flat. Brielle and I weren't related by blood, and considering all the bullying she and Marilyn had put me through, there was no way I could sincerely celebrate her happiness. "So, Leora," Edwin continued, "Marilyn and I were wondering if we could hold the party at your lake house." I instinctively frowned. The house by Silver Pine Lake was my sanctuary. It was a place filled with memories of my mother, a refuge from the noise of the city, and they wanted to use it. Why not book a hotel or restaurant? "Well, you see," Brielle insisted. "She says the house is beautiful and the garden is spacious. She wants a warm, intimate family gathering." He hesitated. "Besides, I'm hoping this could be a chance for us to become a family again. You haven't visited much lately, have you? Marilyn says she regrets how things were. I'd love for us all to gather and clear the air. And of course," he added softly, "I want you to come. Not as a guest, but as one of the most important people there." Family. That word was a sweet poison for me. After losing my mother, I'd been alone for so long. Once my father remarried, I lost my place in the house and worked desperately to become independent as fast as I could. Now, at 28, I had built a successful career as an architectural designer and was living a life free of financial hardship. Yet deep inside, there remained an empty space that nothing seemed to fill. To talk and laugh with my father again. It was a childish hope, perhaps, but it still lingered within me. "All right." After a long silence, I found myself agreeing. "Really? Thank you, Leora. You don't mind if we use the spare key, do you? We'll handle all the preparations. You can just show up on the day of the party and enjoy yourself as a guest." After hanging up, a wave of regret washed over me. Yet at the same time a faint hope bloomed. Maybe Brielle's engagement had finally made her grow up. Maybe Marilyn no longer felt the need to see me as an enemy. That fragile hope clouded my judgment. And so came the day of the party. I was driving my SUV north from Brookhaven toward the lake house. On the passenger seat lay a neatly wrapped gift box, a hand-cut crystal serving bowl, my engagement present for Brielle. I had also splurged on a bottle of aged Bordeaux for my father and stepmother. At a glance, I must have looked like a daughter hurrying home to celebrate a family occasion. But at the bottom of my bag, in stark contrast to all those cheerful gifts, lay a far colder kind of preparation. I exhaled quietly as I gripped the steering wheel. Whatever happens, everything ends today. My murmured words echoed faintly inside the car. I slowed down as I reached the familiar entrance to my private drive. The gate stood wide open, and several cars were already parked inside. I could see the catering van and a truck loaded with decorations. Pulling the car to the side, I turned off the engine. I took one deep breath. It's fine. This is my house. I have every right to be here. Reassuring myself, I grabbed the gift box and the wine and stepped out. The crunch of gravel beneath my feet sounded unnaturally loud. In the garden, rows of chairs wrapped in white ribbons were neatly arranged, and beautiful floral arches stood towering overhead. It was true. They had prepared an impressive party. "Oh!" a voice called from the direction of the front door. There they stood. Brielle in a pure white dress and Marilyn in an ostentatious cocktail dress, looking down at me from the deck. "Brielle, congratulations. And Marilyn, it's been a while." I climbed the steps and approached them. But instead of the welcome I had foolishly expected, something entirely different came back. Marilyn gave me a single contemptuous glance, as though she were looking at something filthy. "What on earth are you wearing? Isn't that a bit too flashy for the catering staff?" My face froze. "What? Did you not hear me? Don't just walk in here as you please. This property is reserved today." Brielle giggled softly. "Mom, she's Leora." "I know who she is," Marilyn snapped. "But was her name on the guest list?" My heart began pounding. A horrible premonition spread across my spine like ice. "What are you talking about?" Dad called me. "I was invited. I even brought a gift. Look." I lifted the box slightly to show it to her. But Marilyn ignored it completely and let out an exaggerated sigh. Then, in a voice shocking in its cruelty, she delivered the final blow. "You must be joking. Why would we invite an outsider like you to such an important party? This is our lake house, a sacred place for only family members." She took a step toward me, peering into my face. "Brielle, call the police. Tell them an intruder broke in. We can't have trash lying around when guests start arriving." Something inside me collapsed with a deafening silence. The fragile belief, my foolish, desperate hope that they might have grown a conscience, shattered completely. With a wicked smile, Brielle pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. "Of course, Mom. Hello. Is this the police? Please help. An intruder has broken into our home." It wasn't petty cruelty. It was a meticulously laid trap crafted to destroy me socially and steal the house entirely. My hand, still clutching the gift box, began to tremble, not from fear but from rage. Pure, overwhelming rage I had never felt before. "So that's how it is," I murmured, my voice so soft no one could hear. "All right. Have it your way." In the distance, the sound of a police siren echoed. I did not run. I simply stood there, silent and still, waiting for the moment their downfall would begin. As the sirens grew louder, victorious smiles crept across Marilyn's and Brielle's faces. "This is the end for you, Leora. Once you're arrested for trespassing and threatening us, your career is over," Marilyn whispered smugly as she lifted her glass with elegant ease. It was undoubtedly champagne taken from my wine cellar without permission. I said nothing. The last shred of mercy I'd ever had for the people who were once my family had been trampled beyond repair. All that remained in me was a cold, razor-sharp resolve. A few minutes later, 2 police cars pulled up on the private drive. "Police. What's happening here?" As if she had been waiting for this cue, Marilyn hurried toward them. "Oh, thank goodness you're here." This woman. She suddenly showed up and started screaming at us to cancel the party. "It's my engagement celebration," Brielle added, piling lie upon lie. "She tried to shove us." The officer's stern gazes stabbed into me. "You there. Don't move. Hands up." Nearby, the catering staff and a few early arriving guests had gathered, whispering anxiously. Slowly, I raised my hands to shoulder height, Exactly as instructed. I haven't attacked anyone. I'm unarmed. You liar. Shut up. Marilyn shrieked. She hates us. She's a stalker obsessed with inheritance. Hurry, put the cuffs on her and take her away. One of the officers stepped directly in front of me. Do you have an ID? Name. Leora Hale. My ID is in my bag. May I take it out? He nodded wearily. Moving slowly, I retrieved my wallet from my shoulder bag and handed over my driver's license. Leora Hale. Brookhaven resident. Why are you here? I'm home. That's all. The officer frowned. Home. According to the callers, this is their vacation house, and you're trespassing. No, that's not true. I turned my gaze directly toward Marilyn and Brielle. This is my house. I am the legal owner. What? Brielle scoffed. You're delusional. This is Dad's house. And what's his is ours. You were practically disowned. Hearing the commotion, Edwin rushed out from inside the house. What is going on here? His face went pale when he saw me standing before police officers. Dad, I called. Tell them. Tell the officers that you invited me. And tell them whose house this really is. His eyes darted anxiously. Caught between Marilyn's sharp glare and my pleading look, he panicked. Well, Edwin. Marilyn's voice was low, icy, commanding. Be honest. This house belongs to all of us, doesn't it? She's the one causing trouble by claiming rights that aren't hers. My father's lips trembled. Then he looked away. I'm sorry, Leora. Please just go home for today. The moment I heard those words, something inside me snapped cleanly. He would not protect me. He would twist the truth itself to keep his wife and her daughter pleased. I see. My voice was ice. Come down to the station, one of the officers said, reaching toward my wrist. Please wait. I didn't budge. Instead, I pulled out my smartphone and a document folder from my bag. Before you rely on verbal claims, would you look at the legal proof? A bitter, ironic relief flickered in me. Bringing this was the right decision after all. I had hoped pathetically that maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't need to use it. But my years of experience had already warned me. They will betray you. Prepare for the worst. Sadly, that instinct turned out to be right. Without hesitation, I drew the weapon I had prepared. Evidence. First, this. I held up the screen of my smartphone. There was the digital certificate of property registration. Property owner. Leora Hale. The address and parcel number clearly referred to this place. And next, this. I unfolded the documents I had been keeping. They included a certified copy of my late mother's will and the official legal paperwork confirming the completed transfer of ownership. This property was inherited solely by me, Leora Hale, from my mother, Catherine Hale, who passed away 15 years ago. My father, Edwin, has no inheritance rights whatsoever. And neither of these women, Marilyn nor Brielle, has even an inch of legal claim. The officer examined the documents carefully. I see. The property is indeed under your name. That's a lie. It's forged. Marilyn shrieked. Edwin, say something. You told me last week we could use it freely. The keys. My father stammered. I calmly took out a small receipt and a brand new set of keys from the bottom of my bag. Use it freely, yes. But I never said I would give you the keys. Turning to the officer, I explained evenly. I had all the locks replaced yesterday. The color drained from their faces. You changed the locks? The officer asked. Yes. I have no idea how they managed to get inside, but I fixed Marilyn with an icy stare. Did you threaten Gareth, the caretaker, into handing over a spare key? He called me last night in tears. The officer's gaze sharpened. Ma'am, is that true? This was the test I had set up. They had threatened Gareth, stolen a key, and barged in like they owned the place. Then they made the worst possible choice, calling the police to accuse me. If they had simply greeted me with a smile, I continued calmly, I would have given them the new keys and let everything go. But no, this was the end. Ownership is absolute, the officer said firmly. Miss Hale is the legal owner. What you've done constitutes aggravated trespassing. The atmosphere flipped completely. Whispers rippled through the guests. You held a party in someone else's house? Brielle turned bright red. But the invitations are already out. That is none of my concern, I replied. I want everyone removed. An hour later, the decorations were gone. The guests slipped away in silence. 1 week later, I sat at my desk and opened my online banking. Auto loan, Brielle Hale vehicle purchase. $68,400. 2 years ago, Brielle had begged for a sports coupe. My father couldn't qualify for the loan. I became the account holder. I'll make the payments, he'd promised. He didn't. Clicked once. Terminate. 3 days later, my phone exploded with calls. I ignored them all. Then, at 2:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Front entrance camera. I opened the live feed. Marilyn and Brielle stood on my porch. Breaking in. Called the police. They were arrested. I pressed charges. 1 month later, my father sat across from me in a quiet cafe. I was wrong, he said. I failed you. We can't go back, I replied calmly. But maybe we can start again. I turned the lake house into a vacation rental. Stayed fully booked. A year later, I bought my own Hawthorne Ridge condominium. When I stepped inside, I finally understood freedom. This was my life. My beginning.